Hello, my name is Crystal. I am quitting Les Ganges. It's me from the slow speed bump. It's been really difficult, and so you're probably looking at me like, okay, then why would you have stopped? Because smoking wasn't helping. It was just giving me a different awful feeling to deal with. So I finally had to sit down with myself and say, like, is this really worth it? And I went online, as one does, and I looked through YouTube, as one does, and I saw all these videos of other people talking about how they quit. And they were all just lacking for me. They were all just like, I just did it, essentially. And I was like, what do you mean you just did it? I have been stifling decades of trauma with this plant. You're telling me that you just did it? Are you serious right now? And so here's a couple things before we get started. I just want to say, first of all, this is not going to be a video telling you that it's super easy. It's not. Also, any censoring that I do is not because I care about censoring. I don't. If anything, I prefer to be more upfront. Any censoring that I do is to make sure that people who need to hear this actually can find it in the algorithm. And if I don't censor, I worry that the algorithm will put me too far down and the people who need to find it won't find it. So we're going to be referring to it as Les Ganges because it makes me happy to say it that way. And it's also not like a known... It's not a known expression for it. It's just one that I made up in my own head because it makes me happy. And it's also, I feel like, incredibly recognizable if you're from my generation, if you're an elder millennial. I'm almost 39 years old, just to give you some context. Les Ganges will make sense to you. So, Les Ganges. So anyways, I have a journal. I will be reading from this journal because the journal was pivotal in this. So, okay. Now I will say, one of the videos that I saw that did actually somewhat resonate with me, she talked about how she started going back to church. Now, I am not religious in that way, and I do have my own spirituality. You guys know if you've watched my channel for long enough, and also from the mala around my neck, I do have my own version of spirituality. And it really resonated with me when she said that she went back to church, and the pastor, it happened to be that I think she said it was literally the first sermon she went to. The pastor was talking about his struggle with addiction. And she went up to him at the end of the sermon and just kind of not poured her heart out, but she was vulnerable with him, told him what she was going through with Les Ganges. And he said to her, I just stopped. You just need to stop. And she got mad at first, and I was like, yeah, I'd be mad too. And he said, well, what it is you've given your life to the plant, and you haven't given your life to God. And what you need to do is give your life to God. And that really resonated with me, not because I felt like I needed to give my life to God, but because I realized in that moment that I have been working with these different deities and entities in my practice, in my spiritual practice. And I keep going to them for guidance. And yet I could see in that moment when she said that, the hypocrisy of going to these deities for guidance and yet giving my life to this plant instead, giving my trauma to this plant instead, giving my well-being, my energy, my health, all of it to the plant. Now, where she lost me a little bit is she said, so after that, I just threw out all of my paraphernalia and I got rid of everything and I just didn't have any desire. And then she was like, and I value her honesty in this, and I'll totally link her video down below because if you resonate with me, this might help you a little bit to see her story. The difference between my story and hers is that I do still have the desire. The reason that I don't go back to it, though, is because of what I did with this journal here. It was actually August 9th that I decided I was going to stop. And I said to myself, how am I going to get myself to stay off of it? Because what I'm going to do, and I knew I was going to do this, is tell myself that I needed it. I was going to tell myself that being on it felt better than being off of it. And I knew that that was not true. And I also knew that I had enough of my flowers left to essentially get myself blasted out of my mind for one more day. And I said, okay, I am going to force myself, because I don't actually like doing that. But it's almost like, you know, that mentality of like, oh, you caught your kids smoking, so you're going to give them a whole pack of cigarettes and make them smoke it to learn their lesson. That doesn't always work. But for me, I was like, I feel like I need to leverage that. And that is something I've done for myself in the past with other things that I've been kind of hooked on or stuck on. And I said, I'm going to do that with this. And I am going to write down how I actually feel on it. So August 10th, I was writing down how I felt. And while I was doing this, I was also in the middle of a manifestation practice for this subscription service that I'm a part of with Bahati Life. If you want to look her up, I'll link her down below too. Fabulous reader and just all around spiritual guide. I can't express to you how fond I am of her and her work. But on August 10th, this is what I wrote. I feel called to interrupt my manifestation practice with a moment to quit les ganges. Today, I'm on the last bit of what I have, what's in the grinder. I'm going to do everything while intoxicated today and really notice and journal about how it feels. See, I'm afraid to quit because I've become convinced it makes everything better. And I'm sure it did at one time for me to get that idea. But smoking all day actually fills me with dread. So that says a lot. Letting myself truly notice how I feel when I smoke will give me something to go to when I want to smoke again and help me understand where that dread is really coming from. What's buried under there? Les ganges is also tied to my identity. Who will I be without it? I'm afraid I'll be manic and people will be mad at me if they can't keep up. That sounds like, at some point, the people who are supposed to love me held me back for their own shortcomings. The thing is, I feel like I used to smoke to be around others. Now it's isolating me. It's the one thing holding me in the vibration of the past the most. I am aligned with a new future, if not for les ganges. And so I'm isolated on the thresholds. I feel called to give my life over to this deity that I've been working with. And I'm not going to be telling you what deity I am working with at all. Not because working with this deity is necessarily a closed practice, but I felt very keenly instructed by her to keep it a closed practice for myself. So don't be offended by that at all. It's just part of my journey. But going back to what I said, I invite her powers of rebirth and trust her divine transformation. So this was in the morning. I hadn't even made breakfast yet. I do remember it's September 5th right now. So this was almost a month ago. I do remember feeling this sense of dread for smoking all day, but almost this excitement to smoke all day. It was this feeling of like, I'm giving myself permission to do this. So I don't know, take with that what you will. I think I'm just really delving into the feelings I had, because if you're in the same place I was and you can't imagine yourself without it, I want you to be able to really see what it took for me to get through this journey. So then, of course, I went and partook yet again because I had committed to literally being messed up all day. So at breakfast, I ate, and then it was time to write again. So I wrote, the moment that I feel the altered consciousness kick in, a mild regret rumbles deep inside of me. I could barely hear it, and I feel my thoughts literally scatter. I just spent some time knitting and finishing my coffee Moogie, my cat, wanted to go out, but she fell asleep after breakfast, and I feel guilty to admit I could have woken her, but chose not to because I felt too lazy to stand out there. It's 11:02 a.m. I woke up at 7 a.m. That's 4 hours just to start my day. Normally at this point, I'd get ready and either stop partaking for the day or not smoke again until after I'm dressed. Because yes, it's been 4 hours and I'm still not dressed aside from a top. Some days I decide I'm just going to smoke all day and give up entirely. I'm trying to figure out if Le Gange even does anything good for me at this point. I feel groggy, scattered, and bored with life. And you guys can't see it, but my spelling is terrible, which is out of character for me too, I'm noticing now, looking back. Like, no matter what I'm doing, I'm bored, impatient, and just want to finish. While I was knitting, I was thinking about how Le Gange helps me focus. But is focus even the word? I feel more driven to keep going by my impatience to finish, and sometimes I just keep knitting because my thoughts are too scattered to transition into something else. Maybe that's why I romanticize Le Gange when I'm off of it. I'm concerned if I can't find the good it does for me, I'll end up repeating the cycle after I get off of it because I'll see the good when I no longer have it. I have to address it now. Escapism, obviously. But I seem to have forgotten why I chose to escape in this way or what I'm escaping from. The pain of feeling alone? So now looking back, there's a few things that's standing out to me. I, since then, have not gotten terribly great at staying on point with my days, and like it still takes me a while to get ready during the day, but now it has more to do with my autism, and I'm able to really see that, and I'm finding more productive ways to get myself started during the day. I'm also finding ways, mosquitoes, so if you see me swatting, it's just that. But I'm finding ways to kind of notice my rhythm and work with it rather than just feeling guilty that my rhythm is that way. So, for example, I've spent most of my life in night shifts. I've spent most of my life working for myself. So it actually does make logical sense that the morning is more for downtime for me. That's my time off. It's not, this dude won't leave me alone. Bro. Stop it. People riding by on the bridge are going to be like, what's wrong? Nah, the city I live in, this is probably the most normal thing they've seen all day. But anyways, yeah, so what it really has allowed me to do is instead of just feeling guilty or trying to fit myself into a box I don't fit into, I've been able to acknowledge, no, this actually makes sense that the morning is my downtime. And I started a little bit sluggish in the morning. I have worked mostly night shifts. I have been in entertainment most of my life where I don't have to be at work until 3 o'clock at the absolute earliest. I've had jobs I didn't have to be there till 7:30. At night. So the idea that I needed to get up in the morning, I think was just another element of me trying to fit myself into society's box, which ironically, it's not what you would think people would use smoking for, but that was definitely what I was using smoking for, was trying to cram myself into society's box. So this brings us to lunchtime, which means I smoked again. So I said, after writing all that, I spent 1.5 hours picking at my face and body before finally putting tofu in the fryer and actually getting ready. It's now 1 p.m. I'm sitting at my desk with lunch. I feel like shit. I'm so tired. I finally figured out while I was listening to my mom do some shit that would have annoyed me in the past. This is a whole separate video that I will make. My caregiver journey with my mom and really realizing that I was a parentified child and that maybe she doesn't need as much care as I thought she did. That's a whole different story, but we'll get into that in another video. I finally figured out while I was listening to my mom do some shit that would have annoyed me in the past that I'm dissociating so I won't react to her. There's also this element where I partake to slow myself down enough to connect with people. I think it's making me a more palatable person. But like, who is it making me a more palatable person for? And I'll get to that in a minute. So every time I smoke, I'm reinforcing the idea that I'm too much as I am. Ugh. I needed to write that, but I didn't even want to, because I am out of my gourd and sluggish. I feel even more like crap. I have a low-grade migraine, not the first time that's been triggered by smoking all day. It's too early to go to the store. I live in Arizona, so like some days when it's like 115, you gotta wait till later to walk. It's just how it is. If this dude comes back, we're gonna fight. Let's throw hands with a mosquito. I want to wait an hour until the sun is mostly down. So I must have written this a little bit later because I did leave a space. So this must have been around 4 or 5 in the afternoon, which says a lot too that at this point, I've apparently given up on telling you what time of day it even is. As if in divine timing, my mom thought I was outside and told my aunt how she really feels about me. It's so pathetic. How immature do you have to be to think these things about your child? I know anything I do from now on is pointless, thankless, because she's stuck in the drama narrative she wants to have with me. And I know I didn't have to be out of my tree to hear all that without reacting. Sure, there were a few moments I wanted to say something, but I can't say Les Ganges truly helped me regulate. It just numbed it. I'm not mad at myself for ever needing that, but I'm glad I don't need it anymore. Anyways, it's almost 5. There it is. So it's time to smoke again. I'm honestly ready to stop already. This is awful. But the question we haven't touched on yet is, who am I without it? So who am I with it? Well, I didn't react to my mom, so there's that. But we've already established I don't really need it for that anymore. So what else don't I need it for anymore that I think I still do? Who am I on it? I know it makes me depressed and averse to socializing. It induces a sort of low-grade anxiety. I don't know. Like I wanted to go... God dang it! Like I wanted to go to the hot girl walk this morning, but didn't, because I still felt residually blasted from last night. I don't even know if I would have wanted to go or not. I was just high and didn't feel like it. Just didn't want to put in the effort, I guess. Apathy. Then dinner time came around and I lost all motivation to write anything, and I just wrote, I went to Trader Joe's and was too burnt out when I got home to do anything else. And on the way home, I actually filmed this video, which I think really hammers the point home. Let me show it now. It's taking everything in me to actually be in front of this camera right now because I'm tired and I just don't feel like doing anything. And it's not laziness and it's not apathy. It's that burnout feeling when like it's just too much to do anything. That's how I feel. I went to the grocery store, the market, the grocer. I don't know why I feel this. See, you know how I am right now. And now I'm walking back. I got gluten-free cheese pizza. Okay. I'll be okay. I know I'm soon. I'm trying really hard to get footage for the rest of the night so that when I go to do a voiceover for this, and I inevitably feel better, because clearly partaking in this activity is not good for me. I need to have footage of this. I think it really hammers the point home of how lethargic and sluggish I was by that point. And wow, like that's how I was presenting myself to the world. That is wild. Basically, what I'm trying to show you is, and this is maybe something you can use, is just sitting with how you actually feel when you're partaking. I think can do a lot for you, because looking back on this even now gives me something to say, like when I do have my moments, because like I mentioned my issues with my mom in here, there are days when of course that makes me want to smoke again. Like if I could just be numb, this would be so much easier to deal with. But knowing that I sat there with myself for an entire day and really wrote how I felt, writing down, I feel like shit. Seeing that video of myself, just like not even in the real world with everyone anymore, gives me something to go back to remind myself, like, this is not the release or the escape. See, I'm throwing hands now. This is not the release or the escape that I really think it is. So that's what's keeping me going. So if you're really to the point where you want to stop, I highly recommend taking that one last day, or even, however many days you need, and just writing down honestly how you feel on it. Video yourself. Show yourself how you actually look and feel on it, because that has changed everything for me moving forward. I'm actually wondering if I want to make this video 2-part or more than 1 part, because this is getting super long and I really don't want to leave any details out, because I feel like if I leave details out, it's not going to do the journey justice. I really don't. And if you're truly struggling like I was smoking. I'm almost 39. I just now stopped, and I started when I was about 16 or so. So 38 minus 16, that's 22 years, almost 23 years. That's a long time. Like, my hormones adjusted to it. I'm convinced that that's actually part of the issue that was happening with my thyroid, because my thyroid has actually gotten smaller since I've stopped. And yeah, if you're really struggling, like, the videos out there where people just try to condense this journey down to like 10 minutes doesn't do you anything. And I just looked at the time on the video and I'm at like 20 minutes, and I know that I don't have a whole lot to edit out. So I think I'm actually going to make this more than 1 part. I wasn't expecting to do that. Plus, y'all had to see me fight a mosquito this whole time. Clearly it did come to blows, because I'm over here doing that. But anyways, yeah, dang it. I told myself I wasn't going to be annoyed by this dude, because I saw him when I was setting up the camera, and I was like, oh, I could deal with it. I can't deal with it. This dude is rude. This dude is rude. Okay, I'm so sorry. See, like this, okay. So there's a couple things that I want to close on then, if I'm going to make this more than 1 part, because I really want to elaborate on some key points that I made in this now that I'm looking back at it and reading it with new eyes. First of all, this feeling of smoking because I didn't want to be too much for the people around me. So even like I'm over here, like I'm even thinking in the back of my mind, like I got to cut out all these silly interactions with the mosquito. People don't want to see that. And it's like, why not? Like, it's such a real moment. I'm over here like, I'm going to fight this dude. It's just a silly mosquito. But like, that's my personality coming through. And how many times did I smoke because I felt like my personality was too much and I didn't want it to come through? And if I was still smoking, I would definitely, there would be no question in my mind, I'm totally going to cut that out. But now that I'm not smoking anymore, it's like I have this permission to be myself. I'm not afraid of being too much as much anymore. And I've kind of started to realize, like, the people in my life.
Okay. You want to have another apple at the park?
Their energy is funny. But, like, even, like, having observations like that, like, just having fun with the world around me. And growing up in the environment I grew up in, where my mom, my family, everyone around me was very much of the mentality of like, every silver lining has a cloud. There's always this dark energy to everything. It's like, I would say like, oh, nice, this obstacle isn't in our way on the path today. And they would say, yeah, but it might be another day. And it's like, so basically how much did I smoke just so that I wouldn't say positive, happy things to people who were always angry, who were going to tell me that my happiness was too much? Like, having that thought and that realization has been kind of depressing. So I guess that answers the question, who am I without it? I'm me. I am happy. I have big emotions and big feelings and big observations, and some people don't like that. And if I have to smoke to be around the people in my life, those are not my people. And that's been hard. It's been really hard to think about. Yeah, I just really hope that this helps someone, and I hope that you'll stick around for part 2, where we get into the day after I got myself blasted out of my mind. And I recorded a video that day too, and it's like, whoa, night and day. I mean, you can already tell by the way I'm acting now in that video I showed you. It's like, whoa. So if that's not encouragement enough to quit, like just, gosh. Yeah, I feel like I have to leave you guys with something. And so I'll leave you with this. And that is the question that I asked myself, or the 2 questions I asked myself. Who are you on it? And who are you without it? It does very much become a part of your identity. And like with anything that becomes a part of your identity, when you decide to alter that or change it or stop it in any way, it can feel like dying. So don't underestimate how hard this can be. Don't let anybody tell you, you just do it, it's easy. I'm here, I see you, I will never tell you that. And yeah, I love you guys. You're amazing. And I'll talk to you later. Bye.